Let us begin by finding a comfortable position. Allow your body to sink into the support beneath you, and gently close your eyes. There is nowhere else you need to be right now. Nothing else that requires your attention. There is only the rhythm of your own breath, the slow, steady rise and fall of your chest, and the sound of my voice guiding you into a story of the past. Tonight, we journey back in time, drifting backward through the decades to a quiet winter evening in Northern California. We are going to explore a story that has lingered in the minds of many for years, often referred to as the Yuba County Five, or the American Dyatlov Pass. But tonight, we do not approach this story with anxiety or fear. We do not look for the sharp edges of mystery or the jarring notes of suspense. Instead, we approach it with a sense of deep, abiding calm, honoring the memory of 5 friends and simply observing the stillness of the night that embraced them. Imagine, if you will, the date. It is February 24th, 1978. The world moves at a different pace in 1978. There are no digital distractions, no constant hum of notifications. The night is darker. The silence is deeper. We find ourselves in the Sacramento Valley, a vast, flat expanse of land that stretches out beneath a canopy of stars. To the east, the mighty Sierra Nevada mountains rise up, silent sentinels watching over the valley floor. To the west, the coastal ranges silhouette against the dark sky. And here, in the middle, the air is crisp and cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and dormant agriculture waiting for the spring. There is a particular kind of peace found in a California valley winter, a stillness that feels heavy and grounding, where the fog sometimes rolls in like a soft blanket, muffling the sounds of the highway. Our story begins with joy. It begins with the purest kind of camaraderie. 5 men, 5 best friends, have spent their evening in the town of Chico. They are affectionately known to their families as the boys. There is Ted, Jack, Bill, another Jack, and Gary. They range in age from their 20s to their 30s, but they share a bond that transcends age, a bond forged in shared experiences and a gentle approach to life. They have traveled from their homes in Yuba City and Marysville, driving north in a turquoise and white 1969 Mercury Montego. Picture this car, a large, sturdy vessel of American steel, its chrome bumpers reflecting the streetlights, its interior warm and spacious. It is a sanctuary on wheels, a comfortable space where laughter echoes and the heater hums a steady, sleepy drone. On this particular Friday night, the mood is celebratory. The men play for a basketball team supported by a local program, the Gateway Gators. They love the game. They love the sound of sneakers squeaking on the polished wood floor, the rhythmic thud of the orange ball, the feeling of teamwork. And tonight, they have reason to celebrate. They have won their game against UC Davis. The score doesn't matter now. What matters is the feeling of accomplishment, the shared smiles, the high fives exchanged in the locker room. They are champions in their own world, looking forward to a tournament that is scheduled for the very next day. Their uniforms are neatly packed. Their shoes are ready. The future is bright and filled with the simple promise of another game to play. After the game, they do what friends do on a Friday night. They stop at a convenience store, Bears Market, located in downtown Chico. It is late, nearly 10 o'clock at night. The store is a beacon of fluorescent light in the darkness. They wander the aisles, the hum of the refrigeration units providing a backdrop to their choices. They buy snacks for the ride home. Hostess cherry pies, lemon pies, a Snickers bar, sodas, comfort food, simple pleasures. Imagine standing there with them, seeing the breath fog slightly in the cool night air as they exit the store. The parking lot is quiet. The town of Chico is settling down to sleep. The streetlights cast long, amber shadows across the pavement. They pile back into the Mercury Montego, the doors closing with a solid, reassuring thud. The engine turns over, a low rumble that vibrates gently through the seats. Jack Madruga is behind the wheel. He is a careful driver, proud of his car, proud of his license. Beside him, and in the back seat, his friends settle in. They unwrap their pies, they sip their drinks. The cabin of the car is a warm bubble of contentment. They are heading home, or so they believe. The drive south to Yuba City should take less than an hour. It is a straight shot down Highway 99, a road they know by heart. A road that runs like a ribbon through the flat farmland, past orchards of walnut and almond trees that stand like skeletons in the winter night. As they pull away from the curb, the car glides onto the asphalt. The tires hum. The radio might be playing a soft tune from the late 70s, or perhaps they are just talking, reliving the highlights of the game, laughing about a pass made or a basket missed. It is in these mundane moments that the profound beauty of life often resides, in the quiet company of those who know us best, moving together through the dark. The car travels south. The lights of Chico fade in the rearview mirror, becoming small clusters of glittering diamonds before disappearing altogether. Now, there is only the road ahead, illuminated by the twin beams of the headlights. The white lines on the road flash by, hypnotic and rhythmic. Dash, dash, dash. But then, something happens. Not a moment of panic, not a moment of fear, but a gentle divergence. A choice is made, or a turn is taken. Instead of continuing south down the valley floor, the Mercury Montego turns. It heads east. It leaves the flat, predictable highway and begins to climb. They are moving toward the mountains now, toward the Plumas National Forest. The landscape begins to change around them. The orchards give way to foothills. The straight roads begin to curve and wind. The elevation rises, slowly at first, and then more steadily. Why did they turn? We may never know for certain, and tonight, we do not need to solve this puzzle. We simply witness the journey. Perhaps it was a desire for adventure, perhaps a wrong turn taken in the dark that just kept going, or perhaps the car itself seemed to want to climb. As they ascend, the air outside the car grows colder. The temperature drops. We are moving away from the valley rain and into the realm of mountain snow. The Plumas National Forest is a vast, wild place. It is a landscape of towering pine trees, firs, and cedars. Their branches are heavy, draped in winter coats of white. The car winds its way up the Oroville-Quincy Highway. The road is paved, but it is lonely. There are no other cars here, no streetlights, only the moon, occasionally peeking through the clouds to cast a silver glow on the treetops. The darkness here is absolute, a velvet curtain that wraps around the forest. Inside the car, the heater continues to work, keeping the cold at bay. The men are still together. They are still a unit. The snacks are finished, the wrappers crinkled in pockets or on the floorboard. The conversation may have lulled as the road demands more attention, or as the hypnotic motion of the car invites a sleepy silence. They climb higher, past the brush, past the lower foothills, up into the snow line. The road beneath them changes from wet asphalt to slush, and then to packed snow. The world outside turns white. The headlights reflect off the snowbanks that line the road, creating a tunnel of light. It is a beautiful, serene environment, if one stops to look at it. The snow absorbs sound, creating a hush that is almost spiritual. The trees stand tall and stoic, witnesses to the passage of this turquoise car. The air is thin and pure. They drive for miles, miles into the wilderness, far away from Yuba City, far away from the basketball court, far away from the routine of their daily lives. They are explorers now, venturing into the heart of the high country. Eventually, the car turns again. It turns onto a rugged, unpaved logging road. The surface is rougher here, the snow deeper. The Mercury Montego, a car built for highways and city streets, pushes forward with surprising determination. Its tires crunch over the rocky, snowy ground. The suspension sways gently as it navigates the uneven terrain. They are deep in the forest now. The Rogers Cow Camp Road. The name itself evokes a sense of the Old West, of isolation, of a time long past. The trees crowd closer to the road here. The canopy overhead is thick. And then, the car stops. It does not crash. It does not slide off a cliff. It simply comes to a rest. The tires lose their traction in a patch of snow. The wheels spin, polishing the ice beneath them, but the heavy car does not move forward. It settles. The engine is turned off, the lights are extinguished, and silence rushes back in to fill the space. Imagine that silence, sudden and absolute. The ticking of the cooling engine, the soft whisper of wind in the pine needles, the immense, heavy quiet of a mountain winter night. The five men sit there for a moment, surrounded by the forest, surrounded by the snow. They are not hurt. The car is intact. They are simply stopped. The doors open. The interior light flickers on, casting a warm yellow glow onto the snow outside. One by one, they step out. The cold air hits them instantly, sharp and biting, a stark contrast to the warmth they have left behind. They are not dressed for this weather. They are wearing light jackets, sneakers, the clothes of a valley winter, not a mountain blizzard. They stand by the car, their breath forming great clouds of steam. They look around. The darkness is total, save for the faint luminescence of the snow itself. The trees loom like giants. The road behind them is a ribbon of darkness. The road ahead is a mystery. They are at a crossroads, not just of geography, but of fate. They are five friends, standing together in the great white cathedral of the Plumas National Forest. They are miles from help, miles from home. But they have each other. In this opening chapter of their story, we leave them here for a moment, standing by the turquoise Mercury, safe for now, the snow beginning to fall gently around them, flakes drifting down like soft feathers, landing on their shoulders, on their hair, on the hood of the silent car. The forest watches, the night deepens, and the mystery of the Yuba County Five begins its slow, quiet unfoldment. Let us pause here, breathing in the cool, imaginary air of the mountains, feeling the stillness of the snow, and preparing to follow their footsteps deeper into the night in our next chapter. The silence returns, settling over the mountain road like a heavy, velvet blanket. The turquoise Mercury Montego, a vibrant splash of 1970s color against the monochrome palette of the winter night, sits still. The engine, that warm heart of the machine, begins to cool, the metal contracting with soft, almost imperceptible metallic ticks, counting down the moments into the deep quiet. The heat that had filled the cabin, the warmth of 5 friends, the energy of their laughter, slowly dissipates, leaking out through the glass and steel, rising into the cold air to join the stars. They move away from the vehicle. We do not know the conversation, if there was one. Perhaps it was a wordless agreement, a collective drift, guided by an instinct we cannot fully understand from the comfort of our own warm rooms. They leave the car unlocked, a gesture of trust, or perhaps a gesture of temporary departure, as if they intend to return in just a moment, after stretching their legs, after checking the road ahead. The snow crunching under their dress shoes is the only sound in the vast, empty wilderness. These shoes, leather and thin-soled, were designed for the gymnasium floor, for the pavement of Chico, for the comfort of a heated home. Here, on the unpaved surface of the Rogers Cow Camp Road, they meet the resistance of the wild. The snow is not deep here, not yet. It is a dusting, a few inches of powder over the hard-packed earth and the ruts of previous travelers. They walk. Imagine the sensation of that air. It is crisp, sharp, and incredibly clean. It smells of pine needles frozen in time, of damp earth hidden beneath the frost, and the distinct, metallic scent of coming snow. The higher they climb, the thinner the air becomes. They are ascending, moving further away from the valley floor, further away from the elevation where rain falls, and entering the kingdom of the ice. The trees here are ancient sentinels, ponderosa pines, Douglas firs, their branches heavy and bowed, laden with the white weight of winter. In the darkness, they form a corridor, a nave in this vast cathedral. The moonlight, filtering through the breaking clouds, casts long, blue shadows across the path. The shadows stretch and shift, creating illusions of movement in the corner of the eye. But there's nothing there, only the wind, sighing through the needles, a soft, hushing sound, like the mountain whispering them to sleep. It is a strange thing to walk away from safety, to leave behind the known, the warm, the secure, and step into the vast indifference of nature. It is a threshold, a crossing over. As they walk, the car behind them becomes smaller, a dark shape receding into the gloom, until it is swallowed by the bend in the road. Now, they are alone. 5 men, Ted, Jack, Bill, Jack, and Gary, a unit, a team, moving together through the Plumas National Forest. The road winds upward. It is a lonely track, used mostly by loggers and forest rangers in the summer months. In February, it is a dormant vein, shut down, sleeping. The silence is profound. It is not merely the absence of noise, but a presence in itself, a heavy, pressing stillness that seems to absorb sound. Their breath creates rhythmic clouds, puff, 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 dissipating instantly into the night. They do not head back down the mountain, back toward the paved highway that would lead them home. Instead, they continue forward, deeper into the wilderness. Why? The question hangs in the cold air like the mist. Perhaps they saw a light. Perhaps they believed the lodge was closer than it was. Or perhaps the disorientation of the night, the fatigue of the day, guided them on a path that made sense only to them in that specific moment, under those specific stars. Time, in the forest, moves differently. It is not measured in minutes or hours, but in the slow accumulation of snow, in the movement of the moon across the sky. Below them, in the valley, the world continues. Families are sleeping. The television stations have signed off, leaving only static. The streetlights of Yuba City and Chico hum with electricity. But up here, at 4,400 feet, Civilization is a distant memory, a dream. The night wears on, the temperature drops, the snow begins to fall harder, the flakes becoming larger, thicker. They spiral down, silent dancers, covering the tracks the men leave behind, softening the edges of the world, erasing the evidence of their passage, step by step by step. Eventually, the sun begins to rise, a pale, watery light that bleeds into the eastern sky. It illuminates the gray clouds, turning them to silver, then to a bruised purple. The forest wakes up slowly. A bird calls out, a lonely, piercing note. The wind shifts, and there sits the Mercury Montego. It sits alone. The windshield is frosted over. The tires are cold. A layer of fresh snow, pristine and white, coats the roof and the hood like a shroud. The car waits. It waits for the turn of the key. It waits for the slam of the doors. It waits for the laughter to return. But the morning is silent. Days pass. The cycle of light and dark repeats. The sun rises, travels its low winter arc, and sets behind the ridges. The moon waxes and wanes. The snow falls, melts slightly in the afternoon sun, and freezes again at night, creating a crust of ice. Down in the valley, the silence of the forest is replaced by a different kind of quiet. The quiet of worry. The quiet of a phone that does not ring. Parents look out of windows, watching the driveways. Eyes scan the local news. A slow, creeping dread begins to take hold. The basketball game is long over. The schedule has been broken. The routine interrupted. A search begins. Not initially in the high mountains, for who would go there in winter? The search starts on the highways, the routes between Chico and Yuba City. Police cruisers glide slowly down the roads, spotlights sweeping the ditches, looking for a fender, a reflection, a sign of a detour taken too fast. But the roads are empty. It is not until days later that the mountain reveals its secret. A forest ranger, patrolling the remote sectors of the Plumas National Forest, navigating the treacherous, snow-packed roads, sees something, a flash of turquoise against the white, a shape that is too geometric, too smooth to be nature. He approaches slowly. The air is still. The trees watch. There it is, the Mercury, parked on the side of the road. It is not crashed. It is not in a ditch. It is simply there. The ranger steps out of his vehicle. His boots crunch on the hard-packed snow. He walks around the car, his breath steaming. He touches the hood. It is ice cold. He wipes a circle of frost from the window and peers inside. The interior is calm. It is a capsule of the past. Wrappers from the snacks they bought at the convenience store, Hostess pies, a candy bar, a carton of milk, rest on the seats and the floorboard. Maps are folded in the glove compartment. The upholstery is unmarked. It looks as though the occupants simply vanished into thin air, raptured out of their seats. He tries the door. It is unlocked. This detail, small and seemingly insignificant, adds a layer of profound sadness to the scene. They did not lock the world out. They left it accessible. The ranger checks the car's mechanics, and here the mystery deepens, becoming a riddle written in steel. The car is in perfect working order. The gas tank is a quarter full, enough to run the engine for hours, enough to keep the heater blowing warm air, enough to create a sanctuary against the night. The tires are not spun. They are not buried in mud or snow. The car is not stuck. With a simple turn of the ignition, with a gentle pressure on the gas pedal, the car could have moved. It could have turned around. It could have driven back down the mountain, back to the warmth, back to the life that was waiting for them. But it didn't. Why leave a perfectly good shelter? Why step out of a warm, functional vehicle into the teeth of a mountain winter? The ranger looks at the ground. The snow has fallen and melted and fallen again since that night. The tracks are faint, almost gone. But there are signs, subtle disturbances in the white powder, indications of movement. He looks up the road, the same direction the car is facing. The road that leads nowhere but deeper into the forest, higher into the peaks, toward the rugged terrain of the Sierra Nevada. The road is a ribbon of white, disappearing into the trees. The car sits like a monument, a silent witness to a decision made in confusion, or fear, or simple exhaustion. It holds the echoes of their last shared moments, the rustle of paper, the hum of the heater, the final, heavy thud of the doors closing. We linger here for a moment, beside the ranger, looking at this turquoise shell. It is a haunting image. The juxtaposition of the man-made machine, distinct, colorful, engineered, against the chaotic, organic, overwhelming whiteness of the forest. The silence of the scene is absolute. The wind has died down. The trees stand motionless. It is a tableau of stillness. We can imagine the five of them, standing right here, where the ranger stands now. We can see them in our mind's eye, adjusting their coats, shivering slightly as the heat of the car leaves their bodies, looking at each other, looking at the dark woods. There is no violence here, no sign of a struggle, no broken glass, only the quiet abandonment. The ranger calls it in. The radio crackles, a burst of static that sounds harsh in the muffled atmosphere. He reports the license plate. He reports the location. Rogers Cow Camp Road. The location makes no sense to those listening on the other end. It is miles off course. It is hours away from where they should be. It is a dot on a map that few people ever visit, let alone 5 young men from the valley on a winter night. As the news travels down the mountain, traveling through the wires and the airwaves, reaching the families, reaching the community, a heavy curtain falls. The hope of a simple car trouble, a flat tire, a dead battery, evaporates. This is something else. This is something strange. Back on the mountain, the sun begins to set again. The shadows lengthen, reaching out from the tree line to touch the Mercury. The temperature begins its nightly plummet. The investigation will begin. Men with dogs, helicopters, snowcats will descend upon this quiet road. They will poke and prod. They will measure and photograph. They will try to impose logic on a situation that seems to defy it. But for now, in this quiet interlude before the storm of activity, there is only the snow and the faint, fading impression of footprints. They do not lead back. They do not circle the car. They lead away, leading up, leading into the dark. We follow them with our mind, drifting like the snow itself, hovering over the path they took. We leave the safety of the car behind, just as they did. We move past the grill of the Mercury, past the silent headlights that stared into the void, and we begin to ascend the road. The air gets colder, the trees grow taller, the world narrows down to the strip of white between the pines. We are following the Yuba County Five. We are walking in their wake. We are stepping into the heart of the mystery, where the logic of the day dissolves into the dream logic of the night. The path ahead is long, the night is deep, and the forest is keeping its counsel, holding its secrets close, wrapped in the cold, white silence. Let us walk with them, gently, quietly, into the next chapter of the night. The road rises, gradually at first, and then with more purpose. The asphalt, hidden beneath the layer of fresh powder, is a memory of civilization that is rapidly fading. We are walking away from the known world. The car, the Mercury Montego, that turquoise vessel of safety and warmth, is now behind us. It is merely a shape in the distance, a shadow receding into the greater shadow of the valley, and with every step taken away from it, The silence deepens. Imagine the sound of footsteps in snow, that specific, muffled crunch. It is a sound that absorbs echoes. In the city, a footstep rings out against concrete. It announces presence. But here, in the Plumas National Forest, the snow accepts the weight of the walker without complaint. It yields, compresses, and holds the shape of the shoe. A tennis shoe here, a heavy boot there, the smooth sole of a dress shoe. These are the impressions left behind, the only testament to this midnight pilgrimage. The air here is thin. We are climbing an elevation, ascending toward the timberline. The trees, magnificent ponderosa pines and Douglas firs, stand like ancient pillars holding up the sky. Their branches are heavy with white, bowing slightly, as if in reverence to the winter night. There is a smell here, clean and sharp. It is the scent of pine needles frozen in time, of cold stone, of moisture turning to ice. It clears the mind. It strips away the noise of the day, the noise of the basketball game they had just won, the noise of the gas station, the noise of the world below. Here, there is only the rhythm of the walk. One step, then another. We move with them. We can visualize the group, 5 figures moving through the corridor of trees, a brotherhood, bound together by friendship, by history, and now, by this strange journey into the heart of the wilderness. They do not run. The tracks tell us this. They walk with a steady, almost determined pace. Why they walk, we do not know. But in the dream logic of the night, the movement itself becomes the purpose. Perhaps they believed the lodge was closer. Perhaps they saw a light. Or perhaps the road simply pulled them forward, drawing them deeper into the embrace of the mountain. It is curious how the night changes our perception of distance. In the daylight, we judge miles by landmarks, by the time it takes to drive. But on foot, in the snow, distance becomes a feeling. It becomes the burn in the legs, the tightness in the chest, the numbing of the fingers. Time stretches out. Minutes bleed into hours. The forest repeats itself, tree after tree, bend after bend, a fractal pattern of white and green and black. Somewhere nearby, in this vast theater of trees, there was another soul that night. A man named Joseph Shones. He, too, had found himself caught in the snow, his car stuck at a higher elevation, a lonely island in the white sea. As we drift past his location, we can imagine the scene through his eyes. He sat in his car, the engine cold, the night pressing in against the glass. And then, lights. He saw lights, cutting through the darkness. Headlights? Flashlights? It is hard to say. The mind plays tricks in the isolation of the woods. He saw shapes, figures moving in the distance. He called out, his voice cracking the silence, asking for help. But the figures did not answer. The lights went out. The silence returned. Did he see the 5? Was it a hallucination born of pain and cold? Or did our travelers pass him by, moving silently like ghosts, unseen and unseeing? It is a moment where 2 stories brush against each other, softly, like branches touching in the wind, before separating again. We leave Mr. Shones to his lonely vigil, and we continue to follow the tracks. Further up, further in. The snow begins to fall again, gentle flakes, drifting down from a sky that is neither black nor blue, but a deep, luminous gray. The flakes catch on eyelashes, melt on warm skin. The temperature is dropping. The warmth of the car is a distant memory now, replaced by the biting reality of the mountain air. And yet, they continue. They pass the turnoffs. They pass the places where they could have turned back. They are following the road as it winds toward the service trailers. The terrain is rugged. To the side of the road, The ground falls away into ravines, dark pockets of shadow where the snow accumulates in deep drifts. To the other side, the mountain rises steeply, a wall of rock and timber. They are walking a narrow path, suspended between the earth and the sky. We must consider the quiet fortitude of this walk. There is no sign of struggle in the tracks, no sign of panic, just the steady progression. It is almost meditative. In the absence of heavy coats, in the absence of supplies, the body begins to shut down the unnecessary things. The mind focuses inward. The conversation, if there was any, likely dwindled to nothing. Just the sound of breathing, the vapor of their breath rising like incense, vanishing into the canopy above. As we drift along this path, hovering over the impressions in the snow, we sense the passage of time. The moon moves across the sky, hidden behind the clouds, but its presence is felt in the ambient light that makes the snow glow. The world is monochromatic. All color has been drained away, leaving only textures: the roughness of bark, the smoothness of ice, the softness of the drift. And then, ahead, a shape emerges from the gloom. It is not a tree. It is too angular, too geometric. It has straight lines and flat surfaces. It is a structure, a trailer, the Forest Service trailer. It sits in a clearing, surrounded by the forest, like a forgotten outpost at the edge of the world. It is covered in snow, a thick blanket on the roof, drifts piled high against the sides. It looks abandoned, dormant, sleeping through the winter. For the 5 men, this shape must have appeared as a sanctuary, a castle in the wilderness, a promise of shelter from the biting wind that has begun to pick up, whispering through the needles of the pines. We can imagine the relief, the sudden surge of energy that comes with seeing a destination. The pace might have quickened here, the footsteps becoming more eager. We approach the trailer with them. We circle the perimeter. It is a simple structure, utilitarian, built to house work crews during the warmer months. Now, it is sealed up tight, locked against the elements, locked against intruders. But necessity knows no locks. We see the window. The glass is dark, reflecting the faint light of the snow. A decision is made. A pane of glass is broken. The sound would have been sharp, brittle, shattering the hush of the forest for a brief second. And then, the silence rushes back in to fill the void. One by one, they would have helped each other. A hand offered, a boost up, the awkward shuffling through the small opening. We follow them inside. The interior of the trailer is dark, pitch black. But out of the wind, the air feels different. It is still freezing, but it is still. The relentless movement of the air outside is gone. Here, the silence is different too. It is an enclosed silence, a waiting silence. Imagine the feeling of stepping out of a snowstorm and into a quiet room. The sudden absence of the wind is almost loud in its own right. The ears ring. The skin tingles as the blood tries to return to the surface. There are lockers here. There are beds, frames with no mattresses, or perhaps thin ones rolled up. There are matches. There is paper, books, wooden furniture. The ingredients for warmth are all around. The potential for fire, for heat, for survival, lies dormant in this room. It is a puzzle waiting to be solved. But the logic of the night is heavy upon them. Exhaustion is a thick veil. When the body is pushed to its limit, when the cold has seeped into the marrow, the mind does not always make the connections we expect. The simple act of starting a fire, of finding the propane tank outside, of opening a locker, can seem like an insurmountable task. They are together. That is the important thing. In this dark, cold metal box, miles from home, miles from the car, they have each other. They settle in. The darkness of the trailer wraps around them. Outside, the snow continues to fall. It covers their tracks. It fills in the footprints that led up the mountain, smoothing out the path, erasing the evidence of their journey. Slowly, methodically, the mountain is reclaiming its solitude. The road becomes pristine again. The window ledge gathers a fresh layer of white. The trailer stands silent. A tomb? A shelter? A mystery. We float within the space, sensing the heavy atmosphere. There is a sense of waiting here. Time seems to stop inside these walls. The urgency of the drive, the confusion of the intersection, the long, arduous trek up the mountain, it all comes to a halt here. The momentum is gone. Now, there is only endurance. We can imagine them listening to the wind outside. It howls around the corners of the trailer, rattling the metal siding, searching for a way in. But the walls hold. For now, they are safe from the wind. But the cold is a pervasive guest. It is already inside. It sits in the corners. It radiates from the floor. As we linger in this space, watching the shadows deepen, we feel the profound isolation of the Yuba County Five. They have walked off the map. They have stepped out of their lives and into a void. And in this void, the normal rules do not apply. There is food here, in a shed nearby. Cans of rations, enough to sustain them for a year. But do they know it? Do they sense it? Or is the darkness too complete? The tragedy of the trailer is not just in what happened, but in what could have happened. The proximity of salvation, the resources that were just out of reach, or perhaps just out of mind. We drift back out through the broken window, leaving them to their rest, leaving them to the quiet of the enclosure. We rise above the trailer, looking down at the clearing. It is a small white square in a vast expanse of dark green and gray. The forest stretches out in every direction, endless, timeless. The wind picks up again, stirring the tops of the trees. It carries the scent of snow and pine. It whispers the secrets of the mountain. We are suspended here, in the middle of the story, in the middle of the night. The car is miles behind. The spring thaw is months away, and the snow keeps falling, soft, silent, and deep, covering the world, hiding the answers. We rest here, in the white silence, waiting for the dawn that feels like it may never come, waiting to see what the morning light will reveal in this frozen landscape. The days turn, slowly, heavily, into weeks. The storm that swallowed the mountain does not simply vanish. It lingers, a ghostly presence that refuses to release its grip on the high country. Down in the valley, miles away from this frozen isolation, life continues. Families wait by telephones that do not ring. Mothers look out of windows at the gray sky, wondering, hoping, praying against the silence. But up here, at the elevation of the clouds, there is only the wind. The car, the Mercury Montego, sits like a stone monument on the rocky road. The snow piles upon it, layer after layer, until it is nothing more than a soft white mound, indistinguishable from the drifts that surround it. It holds its clues inside: the maps, the wrappers, the quiet void where 5 men once laughed and talked. It becomes part of the landscape, anchored in the ice, waiting for a season that feels an eternity away. February bleeds into March. The severity of the winter is historic. Search parties try to ascend, men with dogs and determination, but the mountain pushes them back. The snow is too deep, the terrain too treacherous. The white curtain remains drawn. The forest keeps its secrets hidden beneath feet of compacted ice. It is a time of suspension, a long, cold breath held in the chest of the world. We drift through this passage of time, watching the light change. The sun begins to stay a little longer each day. The shadows, once long and consuming, begin to retreat just a fraction. The air, though still biting, carries a different weight. The scent of pine becomes sharper. The grip of the frost begins to loosen, imperceptibly at first, then with a steady, dripping persistence. April arrives, and with it, the great thaw. It is a slow awakening. The silence of the winter is replaced by the sound of water. Thousands of tiny rivulets begin to run beneath the snowpack, carving hollow channels in the ice. The creeks, long, silent, and frozen, begin to murmur, then to roar, swollen with the meltwater of 1,000 drifts. The white blanket becomes patchy, revealing the dark, wet earth beneath. The landscape emerges from its slumber. The gray of the granite rocks breaks through the white. The green of the fir trees, dusted for so long, becomes vibrant again. And there, on the winding mountain road, the shape of the car returns. The snow slides off its roof, weeping down the metal sides. It sits there, abandoned, looking out over the valley, a relic of a night that is passed into legend. But the thaw reveals more than just the car. It opens the road. It unlocks the path to the trailer. It is June now. The air is warm, filled with the buzzing of insects and the rustling of new growth. The harshness of the blizzard is a distant memory, a dream that seems impossible in the golden light of early summer. A group of motorcyclists rides up the trail, seeking adventure, seeking the beauty of the high wilderness. They do not know what waits for them in the clearing. They approach the trailer. The snow has receded from its door, though patches still linger in the shadows of the trees. The window, the one we drifted through in the dark of winter, is still broken. A jagged eye looking out at the forest. They stop. They sense the heaviness of the place. The air here feels different, charged with a stillness that is not just the peace of nature, but the quiet of something lost. They find him inside. Ted. He is lying on the bed, wrapped in sheets, his head resting on a pillow. There is no violence here, only a profound and heartbreaking sorrow. He looks as though he is sleeping, waiting for a morning that will not come. The room is cold, preserved by the winter that trapped him. It is a scene of profound tragedy, not because of death itself, which comes to all living things, but because of the resources that surround him. We drift around the interior, seeing what the melting snow has allowed us to see. There are cans of food, opened, consumed, but there are so many more unopened. A locker, filled with provisions, enough to sustain 5 men for a year, stands nearby. It was opened, accessed, and yet largely untouched. The propane tank outside, full, the valve closed. Why? The question hangs in the dusty air of the trailer. Why did the fire not burn? Why did the food remain in the tins? Was it fear? Was it a confusion so deep that the simple act of turning a valve became an impossibility? Or was it a discipline, a misguided belief that they were not allowed to touch what was not theirs, even in the face of the ultimate cold? We see his shoes are missing. His feet, frostbitten and pained, could not bear the weight of leather. The world had shrunk down to this room, to this bed, to the fading light in the broken window, and then, eventually, to nothing. The discovery ripples out from the trailer. The authorities arrive. The silence of the clearing is broken by voices, by the crackle of radios, by the solemn work of recovery. But the trailer is only the center of the mystery. It is not the whole story. The forest, vast and deep, holds the others. We float outwards again, leaving the trailer behind. We follow the invisible trails, the paths that were walked in the desperate cold. We move away from the shelter, away from the road, deeper into the woods. The snow has melted here too, leaving the ground soft and covered in a carpet of pine needles. Miles away, nearly 11 miles from the car and miles from the trailer, the searchers find the remains of two more, Madruga and Sterling. They are not together, not exactly. They are scattered, reclaimed by the wilderness. The thaw has left them resting on the forest floor. There is a sense of peaceful disintegration here. The elements have done their work. The winter has taken them, and the spring has returned them to the earth. We look down at the location. It is so far, so impossibly far from where they started.
We imagine the walk. In the dark. In the snow. In the basketball shoes that were never meant for this terrain. We feel the phantom ache of their muscles, the biting wind against their thin coats. They walked until they could walk no more. They walked past the point of exhaustion, driven by a fear or a purpose we cannot see. Scavengers have visited this place. The cycle of the forest is indifferent to human tragedy. It utilizes everything. Bones are scattered, carried by small animals, nestled under the roots of ancient trees. It is not gruesome. It is natural. It is the way of the wild. But for those who knew them, for those who loved the gentle giant and the man who loved to drive, it is a stark and final image. We pause here, hovering over the green canopy. The sun filters through the branches, dappling the ground where they rest. It is quiet. A bird calls out, a lonely, piercing sound that echoes through the ravine. Where are the others? The Forest Service trailer held one. The woods to the east held two. But there were 5. 5 friends who left the game. 5 men who drove into the night. We drift further, searching. The landscape is vast. Ridges and valleys, thickets of manzanita, steep drop-offs that tumble down toward the river. It is a needle in a haystack, but the haystack is miles of rugged, unforgiving wilderness. The father of the remaining missing man, Jack, waits. He joins the search. He walks the woods, calling out a name that the trees absorb without answer. He looks for a sign, a piece of clothing, a footprint preserved in the mud. And then, a discovery. Not a body, but a fragment of a life. Just a quarter of a mile from the trailer, so close, so heartbreakingly close, the searchers find a flashlight. It is a simple object, plastic, metal, batteries, but it tells a story. It lies on the ground, half buried in the dirt. Beside it, a tennis shoe. We focus on these objects. They are anchors in the timeline. Someone was here. Someone walked this ground when the snow was deep. They were near the shelter, near the food, near the warmth that could have saved them. Did they drop the light in the panic of the storm? Did they lose the shoe in a drift, stumbling, falling, unable to rise? The proximity is the most painful part. To be so near to salvation, and yet to turn away, or to fall just short. It is a tragedy of inches, of degrees, of moments. The search expands. The grid widens. Men walk shoulder to shoulder, combing the brush. The weather is kind now, the sun warm on their backs, but the shadow of the winter hangs over them.
They are walking through a graveyard, a place where the cold won a victory that the spring cannot undo. We move with them, gliding through the undergrowth. We see the bones of a deer, the rusted remnants of an old logging chain, the debris of the forest. And then, further out, another set of remains is found. It is Jack. He is found closer to the trailer than Madruga and Sterling, but still, he is outside. He is part of the woods now. His skull, his bones, resting near the flashlight. He did not make it inside. Or perhaps he did, and left? The evidence is silent. It offers facts, but no reasons. We hover over this new site. 4 are accounted for. 4 stories have ended in the silence of the Plumas National Forest. The snow hid them, protected them, and then revealed them. But the revelation brings no comfort, only more questions. The wind stirs the leaves of the oak trees. It is a gentle breeze, soft and fragrant. It carries the scent of wildflowers that are blooming in the warmth. Life is exploding everywhere around these scenes of death. The contrast is sharp, poignant. The world keeps turning. The seasons keep shifting. The forest does not mourn. It simply is. But there is one more. One man who is still missing. Gary. We rise up, higher and higher, leaving the searchers below. We look out over the expanse of the wilderness. It is a sea of green, undulating waves of trees that stretch to the horizon. Somewhere down there, or perhaps nowhere down there, lies the answer to the final piece of the puzzle. The snow has melted. The roads are clear. The birds are singing. But the mystery remains as deep and impenetrable as the drifts of February. We drift over the canopy, searching, watching, waiting. The sun begins to dip low in the sky, casting long golden rays across the tops of the firs. The day is ending. The searchers will soon pack up their gear. They will go home to warm beds and lighted rooms. But we will stay here, suspended in the twilight. We will stay with the memory of the snow. We will stay with the silence of the trailer. We will stay with the question that whispers in the wind. Where is he? Where did he go? The shadows lengthen. The gold turns to purple, then to gray. The first stars appear, faint pinpricks of light in the deepening blue. The forest settles into its nightly rhythm. The nocturnal creatures stir. The owls wake. The mountain breathes. We are left with the stillness, the heavy, pregnant stillness of a story that has no final period, only an ellipsis that stretches on and on into the gathering dark. We rest here, in the space between the found and the lost, between the known and the unknowable. The night comes softly, wrapping the mountain in its embrace once more. And in the quiet, we can almost hear the echo of an engine, the crunch of tires on snow, the sound of 5 voices, fading, 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 into the vast American night. The echo fades, and the silence returns. A silence so profound, it feels like a physical weight, a soft blanket settling over the shoulders of the world. The darkness is no longer gathering. It has arrived, complete and absolute. It is not a frightening dark, but a velvety, protective cover that hides the harsh edges of the landscape. Here, deep in the Plumas National Forest, the night does not fall so much as it rises,
bubbling up from the ravines, climbing the trunks of the ponderosa pines, filling the spaces between the needles until the entire world is submerged in this cool, indigo ocean. The air grows crisper, sharpening the edges of the constellations that now dominate the sky. Without the interference of city lights, without the glow of the valley far below, the stars are aggressive in their brilliance. They are ancient witnesses, unblinking eyes that have watched this mountain range rise from the earth, watched the glaciers carve these valleys, and now watch over the quiet resting place of the story we have followed. Orion, the hunter, strides across the southern horizon. The Pleiades, the seven sisters, huddle together in the cold vastness. Their light touches the snow, igniting millions of tiny ice crystals on the surface, turning the forest floor into a mirror of the heavens above, a sea of diamonds stretching out into the gloom. The wind shifts, dropping to a mere whisper. It no longer howls through the branches, but sighs, a gentle exhalation from the lungs of the wilderness. It carries the scent of pine resin, frozen hard by the temperature, and the clean, sharp smell of ozone and ice. If one were to stand perfectly still, here on the winding road, the only sound would be the blood rushing in one's own ears, and perhaps the soft, rhythmic creaking of a heavy branch adjusting to the weight of the snow. It is a world paused, held in suspension, waiting for a dawn that feels an eternity away. There is a peace in knowing that the mountain keeps its own counsel. The frantic energy of the search is gone. The confusion of the wrong turns, the maps that didn't make sense, the decisions made in the fog, all of that has settled like dust. The land does not judge. The land does not ask why. It simply exists, enduring the seasons, absorbing the histories of those who pass through it. The road that the Montego traveled is now just a ribbon of white, indistinguishable from the surrounding slopes. The tracks are filled. The tires are buried. The path forward and the path back have merged into one singular, unbroken field of white. We think of the trailer, that small shelter nestled in the trees. In the daylight, it was a place of questions, a place of tragic proximity. But now, under the starlight, it is simply a shape, a geometric interruption in the organic flow of the forest. It stands silent, its windows dark, its metal skin cold. It has become part of the geography, a monument to the fragility of human plans. The snow piles against its sides, banking up, softening its angles, trying to reclaim it, trying to pull it back into the earth. It sleeps, just as the stones sleep, just as the dormant seeds beneath the frost sleep, waiting for a cycle that moves much slower than our own. And what of the mystery? What of the spaces in the narrative that we could not fill? As the night deepens, the need for answers begins to dissipate. The sharp desire to know, to solve, to understand every second of that night in 1978 softens into acceptance. Some stories are not straight lines. Some stories are like the fog that rolls off the Pacific, drifting, obscuring, revealing only fragments before vanishing again. Perhaps there is a comfort in the unsolved. It reminds us that we do not control everything, that there are vast pockets of the world and of the human experience that remain beyond our reach, safe in the keeping of the universe. Gary, the one who was never found, is no longer lost in this narrative. He has become part of the atmosphere of the High Sierra. He is in the wind that rattles the dry leaves of the manzanita.
He is in the shadow that stretches behind the granite boulders. He has transcended the limitations of the physical world, becoming a spirit of the place, a guardian of the solitude. He is not gone. He is simply woven into the fabric of the night. The search for him has ended, not in failure, but in a quiet release. We let him go, releasing him into the vastness, trusting that the mountain holds him gently. The cold is absolute now, a deep freeze that halts all motion. The nocturnal creatures, the owls and the foxes, have retreated to their dens and hollows. Even the life of the forest pauses to conserve its warmth. The stillness is total. It is a hypnotic stillness, one that invites the mind to stop its racing, to stop its searching, and to simply be. Just as the snow blankets the rough terrain, smoothing over the rocks and the fallen logs, let this stillness blanket your mind. Let it smooth over the worries of the day, the unanswered questions of your own life, the jagged edges of your own thoughts. Imagine the snow falling again, softly, steadily, large, heavy flakes drifting down from the darkness. They land on your eyelashes, on your cheeks, cool and fleeting. They land on the road, layer upon layer, inch upon inch. They are erasing the world, painting it white, making it new. With every flake that falls, the silence deepens. It creates a cocoon of insulation, muffling the world outside, muffling the past, muffling the future. There is only now. There is only this breath. There is only the soft, white, quiet. We are drifting away from the Yuba County Five now. We are leaving the ridge. We are floating upwards, above the tree line, above the peaks. The car is gone. The trailer is gone. The road is gone. Below us, the forest is a textured quilt of black and silver, rolling endlessly toward the horizon. The drama of their journey has faded into the larger dream of the earth. The tragedy has lost its sting, transformed by time and distance into a melancholy beauty, a sad song sung in a minor key that slowly, slowly fades into silence. The night stretches on, infinite and majestic. The earth turns slowly on its axis, carrying the mountains and the valleys, the cities and the forests, through the dark. You are part of this turning. You are safe within this movement. There is nothing you need to solve tonight. There is nothing you need to find. The map has been folded away. The compass has been set down. The engine has been turned off. Rest in the knowledge that some things are meant to be left in the dark. Not out of fear, but out of reverence. The unknown is a vast space, a space where dreams can take flight. We leave the 5 men to their rest. We leave the mountain to its winter slumber. We leave the stars to their vigil. Feel the heaviness in your own limbs, mirroring the heaviness of the snow-laden boughs. The gravity of the earth pulls you down, gentling you, grounding you. Your breathing slows, matching the rhythm of the wind in the trees, in and out. The cold air of the mountain is far away. You are warm, you are sheltered, but you carry the peace of that high, lonely place within you. The stillness is yours now. Let the white noise of the history fade. Let the names dissolve. Let the dates crumble. All that remains is the feeling of the night, the great American night that wraps around us all.
It is a night for sleeping. It is a night for letting go. Drift on the currents of the air. Float on the surface of the silence. The story is over. The book is closed. The candle is blown out. There is only the dark, comfortable and deep. There is only the quiet, rich and full. Sleep now. The mountain sleeps. The forest sleeps. The snow falls and falls and falls, covering everything in a blanket of peace. Good night. Good night.